In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a line of sanitary sewer. So basically what we're going to do is we need to take our sewer and tie it into this manhole. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to assume that from this point right here, the sewer line is going to come up and it's going to connect to this manhole here. So to do that, it's the same as creating storm pipes. And then a second run is going to start here and go this direction. All right. So actually I'm going to start at the top because I want to show you and talk to you about conflicts. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to pull pipe network and go pipe network creation tools. Once that's done, in your network name, type in sanitary. Make sure you pull down the network parts list as sanitary. The surface we're using is street A and the alignment is street A. Make sure your structure labels, we can always change these later, is plan sanitary structures, and the pipe labels is plan sanitary pipes. Okay. Now, you're going to get this toolbar, and I want you to make sure that you're using the concentric structure 48-inch diameter, and the size of the PVC pipe is going to be 8-inch. Typically, that's the minimal size for sanitary, unless you're working in commercial, and it can go actually down to 6, but it can always get larger. So now that I'm ready, it says specify the structure insertion point. So I have to make sure I can pick up all of these lots that are draining this direction. So I'm going to put my sanitary midpoint of the in the center of the alignment. So I'm just going to click nearest, and I am going to put it here because in St. Cloud, they require the sanitary to be midpoint of the lot. So there's one manhole. Now, you can't put them outside an angle, so I'm going to have to end up using multiple manholes. So I'm going to go ahead and extend this because I don't want to cross this one. So I'm going to put it in the grass area up here. Okay, that's the second manhole. Now, the next thing that I have to do is you can only go 400 feet. So I can already see that there's 1, 2, 3. I may end up having to put in an additional manhole. And then I'm going to set the next structure in the center point of that manhole. Now, you can see it's 426 feet. We're only allowed 400 feet. So I'm going to introduce another manhole. To introduce a manhole in this line, all I have to do is come up here and click on draw pipes and structures, and see the little symbol that looks like little eyes. I'm going to insert it at this point right here. Okay. When I do that, I got to click down here. Now it'll allow me to basically break this sanitary line and put a manhole in. I can always change my mind later where I want it. So I'm actually going to have to use nearest. For whatever reason, it's not. Oh, there it is. It's not letting me select. Why is it not letting me select? All right, let me try that again. That is text. One, it's on the wrong layer. Okay. So I'm just going to come back up here and try structures only and see if that'll let me pop it in there. And it did. I'm not sure why it wouldn't let me do pipes and networks, but it didn't. So it has a sanitary structure. Now, I am going to bring this to the midpoint here. I'm just going to try to keep it on an even stationing, just to make your life a little bit easier. All right. Now, we're going to change these structure names to be appropriate. So I'm going to click on the structure itself, and I'm going to say it's existing, EX for existing sanitary manhole. All right. So there's nothing really we can do about that. We have to assume an elevation because I don't know the elevation of that right now. It's also on the wrong layer, so you could change that so it's not storm. You can come up here and go SSW. So that's a sanitary sewer symbol. Also, you can change these symbols to be a different type of symbol. Sanitary manhole is what we typically use. So it looks like that. It's up to you and whoever your engineer is when you start working. Now I'm going to rename this, so you have to pick the structure. I'm going to call it SHM-1, sanitary manhole -1. Okay. Now you can change the style of that also. They look the same, so that's fine. That's why we have S's and SMH's, so they know the difference. So now I'm going to change this name. I have to actually touch the structure. Sorry, guys. All right, so I'm going to pull this up out of the way and change this. And I'm going to say SHM-2. And this one's going to be SMH-3. All right. Now, typically what I do for sanitary manholes is I start out 5 feet below grade. So I have enough cover over the pipe. The minimum cover over the pipe is 3.5 feet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the elevation that my ground is at here. So we can use one of these points here. We can just drag this over and see what that elevation is. So it's 80-34. So I'm going to say 75 even. Okay. So the start invert is 75 and the minimum slope is 0.0035. That's what we're going to use. So I'm going to take right here, it says 79.12. So 79.12 times 0.0035 equals 0.276. I'm going to subtract that from 75. And I'm going to get 74.72. Okay, so that gives me a slope of 0.35. Now, once we get to this structure here, I'm going to right click. I'm going to swap structure parts to, it's not going to let me do it there. I'm going to have to do it through the pull down menu over here. So I'm going to change that to sanitary manhole. I just like these better. It looks a little bit better. Now, I can also change the style of the pipe itself. So it is single line sanitary. I'm going to do double line sanitary. It just looks a little bit thicker and better. Now, at this manhole, there's a 1/10 of a foot drop. So we said the invert here was 74.72. So this invert here at the start is going to be 74.62, right? When you have 90-degree bends or more, you actually drop 2/10. So I'm going to say 5.2. Now, my end invert is 203 feet away. So I'm going to use the horizontal distance. So 203 times 0.0035 is a drop at 0.71. So I'm going to subtract that from 74.52, and I'm going to get 73.80. Okay, and you can see it's 0.35. And you can also see that it's labeling it 0.35. All right, you can change the styles to make it look as good as you want or however you need. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and move on. I am going to change that style here to double. Just makes it look a little bit better, and I can see it a little bit easier. I'm going to pull this up out of the way. Pull on the square, not the circular. So I'm going to put that up here for right now. Now, the next thing that I have is invert was 73.80. So since this is a continuous line, I can say this invert here is 73.70. And the end invert is 222.87. So 222.87 minus 0.0035 gives me 222.8. Snap. I did that wrong. 222.87 times 0.000, too many O's. 222.87 times 0.0035 minus 73.7. That's going to be 7291. 72.91. All right, so it's 0.35. I'm going to go ahead and swap out that manhole like that. Now, I'm going to change that to a double line. Just make it look a little bit better. And that end invert needs to be 7291. Since I don't have as-built information, I'm not 100% sure what that invert is. If it was something different, then we'd have to match it. I'm going to leave this S as is because typically that's how it looks when it's an existing storm. Now notice this isn't labeled. So I'm going to have to go up here and annotate, add labels, and I'm going to add the label of a pipe network in plan view. Okay, and it's going to be plan sanitary pipes. Okay, and plan sanitary pipes. Add, and I'm going to just click on this one, and it automatically added. So you can see that this is at 0.35% slope. Now, we need that information up in this profile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on all of the manholes and all of the pipes. All right, and then I'm going to select the last one also. Now it'll have a contextual ribbon up here, draw pipes in profile. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to draw them in this profile. All right, so now you can see that it does this. That means my structures don't have information that's correct in the inverts. The inverts should be basically matching the inverts we selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the structure, right click, structure properties. I'm going to come up here. That's true. Now the depth is going to be based on my elevation. Okay. All right. Now notice it drags it and shortens it up right here. The next one I'll do the same. So I'll click on it, right click, structure properties, change the depth to elevation, and then I have to change that to 0. For whatever reason, it didn't want to give me, it gave me an odd sump, and sometimes that happens, and it's based on the elevation. Okay, and you can see it pulls it up here. Now, the last one we have that we kind of have to do, because the other one's outside the profile, the existing's outside my profile. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to left click on the manhole, right click, structure properties, and I need to change that to elevation. Now see how it has that wrong number? I need to switch it back and go back to depth and type in 0. All right, that puts it at the correct. I don't know why it does that, but it's just a method that I found that we have to change. Okay, now I have my sanitary inline. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and label, pull this up out of the way. Here is my sanitary line. So I'm going to go ahead and add the label, but it's going to be in a, if this isn't still up, to get that to come up, add labels, click at the top, and now I'm going to come down here and go pipe network, single part profile. Now we're going to change the style to sanitary sewer, pipes, and structure labels as sanitary sewer, profile sanitary sewer. Okay, I'm going to click on the pipes and the structures, each individually. Pipes and structures. All right, I'm just going to bring these down because they're in the way. It's cluttering up my drawing. So I'm going to grip edit that and just bring it straight. I'm going to turn my ortho on, hit F8, and bring it straight down. We may have to move some of the pipe information around, maybe even make this a little bit lower. So I'm just going to bring this straight down. I like to have my sanitary on the bottom and my storm on the top. It makes the drawing less cluttered and makes it easier to read for both you and the contractor when you go to do shop drawings. Shop drawings are structures where somebody has to take all of our plan and profiles or all of our our structures and create drawings, actual CAD or drawings of how to build these structures. I got to turn my snaps off so I can get that down here. Okay. Now you can put these however you wish. It's just, can you read it? So now there's my pipe here. Now what happens? So I've got this sanitary right here. Okay. That's my sanitary line. I'm going to try to change the color so it can be seen easier. But I don't think it's going to let me. It's also on the wrong layer. See how it says sea storm? Put that on sanitary pipe. Now I am going to change the color of the sanitary. So C-SSW, and there's the pipe. I'm going to change that color to green just so I can see it. Okay. All right. So now I'm just going to match properties. I didn't click apparently all of them to be on the right layer. All right. I don't know why that didn't update, but I'm not going to fight it right now. I'm going to type in regen. I'm really not sure why that didn't change. Okay, I'm going to let it go. All right, now you can see my sanitary. I'm going to take a look at storm here. I'm going to right click, pipe properties. It says double line storm, storm line hatch. I just want to see if I can make it easier to see. No, that did not work. So I'm just going to do double line storm. Apply. And okay. Now, what I'm trying to get at here is I have that's why it's on the wrong layer. Sorry. There. All right. So what I have here is a pipe system that goes underneath the pipe here. It goes underneath the pipe here, or on top of, and then ties into a manhole down here. So I can see that I have issues with this pipe right here because I'm hitting directly into it. Okay, that is structure 3A. So that's this one right here. So there's 3. On here, I've got a pipe coming across S1. So S1 is right here, right? So S1 to S2 I didn't draw apparently. Let me click on that. I'm going to draw it in parts or profile, and now I should have 2 of them there. There's 2 of them right there. Okay, that one is, I'm not sure if that's labeled, so I'm going to go ahead and label this one here. Make sure you're always labeling everything. So I'm going to click on that. There's S2. So I'm going to drag this over here, get it out of the way. Apparently I've labeled it multiple times. Whoops. Okay. It's also on the wrong layer, so just be careful about the layers that you're labeling them on. I'm going to go ahead and leave it. At least it's labeled. Okay. Now, we can see that it's 74.92, and we said this pipe right here is 75 at the very start. So I'm going to have an issue with the pipe coming across that's going to be, it's going to be in conflict. So if I drew a circle, well, I take that back. You can see that this elevation here is 73.70. And this elevation here is 74.52, right? And it's an 8-inch pipe. You can see that it's got a conflict through, sorry, I can't seem to get this grip, through here, okay? Also, you can see 4 and 7. So there's manhole 4. 7 should be right underneath of it. So I'm going to add, I'm going to do storm and storm in the profile. And click on that one. There's S7. I'm going to move S3 over just so you can see it. Okay. So you can see that I'm in conflict here too, because you've got 75, 52. So what I'm going to do is I need to drop this at least a foot below the bottom of this. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to move this out of the way. You can actually drag these down like that. I don't recommend doing that though, just FYI. So what I'm going to do is just drop everything by 1.5 feet. So I'm going to take this, instead of starting at 75, I'm going to drop it a foot and see if that works. So 74, so that changes to 73. Okay. That's not enough, so I'm going to drop it another half. So go 73.5 and 73.22. I still got my 3%. Now I've got plenty of room underneath there. So I'm dropping it a foot, this one 1.5 feet. That means I have to touch them in plan view. So there's my first one. So I'm going to drop that 1.5 feet. So I'm going to say 73.02 and 72.3. Okay, so I've still got my 3. So you can see I'm getting lower. I'll still have to fix my manholes though, but we can't have conflicts. We can't have pipes running into pipes. So now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to drop, well, I need to take this one and I'm going to drop it 1.5 feet. So 72.2 and 71.41. Okay. Now I'll have to go back and fix my structures. So click on the structure, right click, structure properties. If I go depth and then I change it back to elevation, I'll be good. So I just have to switch these back and forth, back and forth. So click on it again, the next one, right click, structure properties. Depth, it changes that, and I'm going to change it back to elevation. Okay. And the very last one that we have to do, click on it, structure properties. I'm going to change that from depth to elevation and then back to depth. Okay, apply and okay. I wish it automatically rebuilt it, but it didn't. But now we've got our sewer much further separation from the storm. So if I measured this, I'm going to do linear, from this bottom to this top is 7.35, which is actually 0.735. So it's greater than 1/2 foot, and that's all you need per count or per the city standards and FDEP standards. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and now that we've got the storm labeled, I want to go ahead and show you the water line if it was labeled. Typically what we do is we don't use smart pipes here. I'm going to go ahead and stop here and then we'll talk about water and reuse in a minute. If you have questions, just let me know.